Let's talk about The Undertone. This is a new film directed by Ian Tuason. This is his directorial debut, an amazing one at that. I had the grand opportunity to watch this last year at Fantasia Fest. A24 picked it up there after a huge bidding war and are now releasing it about 6 months later. There's some slight changes here, some voice actor and all of that, which we won't get into, but this is basically the same film that I saw then. I want to give you my thoughts on the ending and all of that, so make sure you hit that subscribe button and notification bell. 50,000 subscribers is the goal. South by Southwest this week. Super excited. The Oscars. Stay tuned for that Oscars video tomorrow. But let's get into the film Undertone. So this is a film that stars Nina Kiri as Evie and Adam DeMarco as Justin. Somebody else played Justin before A24 picked it up. So gotta give shout outs to that actor as well, because I thought he did a great job as well. Adam DeMarco as well. But just want to give that out because it really made the film for me last year. So this film is basically, what if you're a podcast host that listens to horror stuff and then out of nowhere you get sent these 10 very cryptic recordings, and ultimately what you're doing with these recordings is unleashing a demon. So let's talk about that right now and what exactly this movie is trying to say. So the film basically revolves, like I said, around Evie, who is taking care of her mother. Her mother is dying. She is not eating. She is not drinking. She is basically just on her deathbed waiting to die. And Evie is just stuck in this house waiting for that to happen. On top of all of this, she's also dealing with a relationship that seems to be sort of disintegrating with her boyfriend. And on top of all of that, she is pregnant and kind of doesn't want this baby either. So in order to sort of navigate through all of this, what she decides to do is start a podcast. And she has a podcast with her co-host Justin. Although they live in separate time zones, they have to find a way to make it work. So the only time they have to record really is at 3 a.m. Yeah, it's not creepy at all to talk about horror stuff at 3 a.m. in the dark, and you have a lot of shit going on too that's stressing you out. But ultimately, this is Evie's life right now, and she decides to see where it goes for her. Now, one of the things that happens here one day is that Justin receives an anonymous email that has 10 audio files, and he pretty much says, why don't we develop a whole saga around these files, record our reactions to them, what do we think, all of that. They have an interesting dynamic here. Justin is the true believer in the paranormal, and Evie is a big time skeptic. They listen to a couple of the recordings, and they are about this couple, and the man believes that his wife is sort of being haunted. Their house is haunted. She's speaking in her sleep, sleepwalking, all of this. Nursery rhymes are heard. Eventually, weird messaging starts to come through, and one of the things that Justin's able to figure out is that somebody is saying, I am Abazu, and Abazu is a demon that takes children when you look it up. So yeah, it seems that all signs are pointing that maybe that random email wasn't so random, especially if it wanted Evie to listen to it. So Evie and Justin decide to take a little break. Evie decides to get out of the house one day and eventually comes back to find her mother on the floor. Some creepy drawings are there as well, kind of brushes it off as well. But then we start to see that the next recordings they listen to have the nursery rhymes. They have a weird undertone to them as well, like a demon's interfering or something. And all of the nursery rhymes also have a dark history. London Bridge, Baba Black Sheep, Ring Around the Rosie. And it seems that this is going to not end well, right? But they decide to keep listening though. Evie finally also comes clean that she doesn't want the baby, and we see her also drinking. Evie and Justin decide that on the final recordings, they're actually going to take some callers and see what they think about what's going on. And that's when they find out from one of the callers that the couple was actually found dead at the bottom of the stairs, baby drawings all over the walls. A child had died as well, and also that the girl had been pregnant. A second caller also says that a mother actually killed her infant, and another involving a ceramic designer was actually handing out religious figurines to random people right before she ultimately killed herself. And that's when Evie realizes that the ceramic statue that is actually on the nightstand is one of hers that they have in their home. So the demon's already been in the house and had been targeting Evie. Ultimately, this is when shit hits the fan, and we see that everything just starts getting distorted. The times are standing still. We hear a flood of noises come through, distorted, warped, demonic sounds all around, and the whole building just becomes a sonic boom crashing all over, and then we see the mother appear out of the closet walking backwards, and then black. It cuts to black. We just hear sounds and ultimately somebody falling down the stairs. Who could it be? Evie, the mother, both, who knows? But ultimately the film ends right there. Now, the film does sort of take its scares and kind of has more of an approach where it's like, we're going to be subtle with it. We're going to let you experience it. We're going to build and we're going to build and ultimately hit you with it at the end. And it got that vibe for me, right? Like Blair Witch Project. When I watched the Blair Witch Project for the first time ever, I believe I was like 10 or 11, rented it out, had some Pizza Hut. Man, that was a time back in the day. And I was just scared. I didn't go to sleep that night because I believed that in the corner that the Blair Witch was going to come out. And I didn't even know what the hell the Blair Witch looked like because we don't, right? And I think that's what this movie really does well. It sort of brings your imagination into it. It has an immersive feel to it if you let it. If you don't let it, of course, it's going to kind of feel boring, right? And that's a thing I think people have a problem with movies nowadays is you want to see, you want to like have it all in your face. And like, you know what? Like things aren't really scary when you think about it. Nothing really is scary once you see it for a bit, right? And that's why I don't think people realize that if they show us something at the end of the day, it's gonna be like creepy for like a second and then we're used to it. That's any horror movie. I've never seen a design that's scary in my opinion like that. And I think that the Undertone is brilliant because sound is something that we can't really like visualize all the way. And so when you're visualizing, you're trying to react to what's going on and you're also listening and you're trying to see in the dark, it kind of heightens that fear. We're scared of what we don't see or don't know, right? That's why I think Undertone works so brilliantly. So these recordings, are they targeted at Evie or not? So there's been a lot of theories about what exactly is going on here. When I first watched this movie, I believed that Evie was targeted. I think her family was targeted, specifically her mother, who was very religious figures all over the house. So if she gets a religious figurine from somebody, she's just going to think it's another one to add there, but maybe it was meant to be targeted towards her. They knew she was dying, that she had a daughter that potentially would have a child. The demon here, Abazu, of course, is targeting these women that are about to have children, and of course would target Evie. And the demon's going to know that she runs a podcast and all this, so it would make it in a way where she's able to receive the recordings, because the recordings kind of work like a ritual of sorts and a channel at the same time. The ritual was to listen to all of these, and ultimately it channeled the demon into her home to be able to take possession of maybe her mother at that point when she started to walk and all of that at the end, right before it turned to black. And then ultimately Evie's child, by killing both the mother and Evie and leaving the child unscathed, then it would be able to take form in the child, maybe the demon, right? That's kind of what I think. I think that that is definitely what the demon was trying to do from the beginning. It targets these people, especially Evie, who had been in a very low state in mind. And according to demon like rules, or sort of like we know from movies, they are going to target people that are kind of having these repressed and dark feelings because they're more vulnerable for these type of attacks. It's ultimately what the demon was trying to do with Evie. Some people don't believe any of this ever happened and do believe that Evie is just falling into a psychosis, a like mental breakdown, anxiety, a panic attack of sorts, if you will, as she's doing a podcast, because she's dealing with her mother who is dying upstairs. She's dealing with the responsibilities of being a caregiver and trying to be there for her mom, but also trying to push forward with her own life, and her own relationship with her boyfriend's disintegrating. Now she's pregnant on top of that. So ultimately Evie is just dealing with a rush to the head of so many emotions, and it's just hard to process it, right? And I think that she focused on this podcast in order to do so, and that ultimately kind of would backfire on her as she's listening to all of these things but can't get her real life out of her head, right? She puts on the headphones to create a barrier away from the real world, but ultimately the real world still slips in. These fears, this sort of phobia that she has about death, about life and all of that, and being alone and quiet and just not realizing what's going on. The death rattle that she heard from the nurse being told to her, once you hear that, that means your mother is ultimately going to die. And that noise is something that would be unsettling to hear. So now she's created a world with this unsettling audios she has to go through until she ultimately reaches the final one, which is the death rattle, right? That she hears. And in that theory, I kind of like it as well, to think that maybe this was all just in her head. But still, I like to go to more the supernatural element of it, that this demon has been targeting all of these people throughout ages, and now it's realized that, hey, I can go through digital world now and get to these mothers and their children and all that to take them. And it's just the demon getting with the times. That's my final theory on it. So I think that this whole plan was coordinated by the demon from the beginning to get these audios to Evie in order to be able to complete a ritual that it has to do, probably ultimately wear down her spirit, have her be in fear, and ultimately go through the channel, through the audio, to get to Evie and take possession of her or the unborn baby. And that's ultimately the end of The Undertone, a film that I think utilizes sound in the most incredible way. And it really is one of those movies that I think has been kind of overhyped by the studio itself and made people to believe it's something it's not. And now people are kind of feeling some type of way about it. Trust me, I thought it was great. I watched it at home when it was at Fantasia Fest. I was able to watch a screener because I was doing press, and I was just blown away by it because I was able to fully get myself consumed by it and just enjoy it. And I'm very, very happy with all of this that we got from it. But yeah, I appreciated the film. I enjoyed it a lot, and I'm very curious to watch it again. I need to watch it with just headphones because I'm curious what that experience would be like. I'm going to be scared, but I'm going to try it. Maybe we'll do a reaction to it whenever it releases, and I think that'd be kind of a fun video to do. But like I said, South by Southwest is this week. I am excited. So many films, horror film wise, Hokum. I'm going to watch Obsession again. I haven't watched it since TIFF, so I'm kind of curious if they change things up. Like I said, in The Undertone, they changed a couple of things, but very, very excited to watch Obsession again, but also some other ones like I Love Boosters, Ready or Not 2, Here I Come, which I think I'm actually going to be watching really soon. So stay tuned for that video reaction coming to you. But as always, that will do it for me. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. 100,000 subscribers is the goal. Let's get to it. I'll see you next time. Stay safe, stay positive.